Stupid fucking LinkedIn. Oh, are we live now? End broadcast. We are live. All right. Let me see. Everything looks good. Everything sounds good. A little closer to the mic. All right. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Lion Show. All right. So tonight we are going to be talking about knowing yourself. All right. I know. Boom. Drop the big one on you. So, knowing yourself is a difficult question because we all have our own personal experiences. You know, we all are alive, but each and every single one of us has a different experience at all times. We have a different feeling inside of each of us for everything. Just because somebody says, do it this way and you'll get this result, doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to get the same result as that person. So in order for us to ask the big question, who am I? And to know yourself, you have to first understand that it's okay if you don't know yourself. Let's talk about that for a second, because this is actually something kind of fun. So let's just think about why it's okay that we don't know ourselves. First of all, we're undisciplined. We set all these goals. We say we're going to do stuff. Very few people are truly as productive as they possibly could be. And very few people truly do everything they want to do in a day. There's hours where they slack off, they watch TV, they play video games, they get lost, But beyond that, we are strange creatures in a world that is not like us. Let me explain. So most things in this world are automatic. Our breathing is automatic. Our blinking is automatic. The water is set up so it automatically rotates. We circle around the sun automatically. The only thing that really seems to be not on automatic is our consciousness, our human being, because we are able to control ourselves and do whatever the heck we want at any given notice, right? And the way that I think of this is we're like a fluke. We're some sort of strange fluke in this mysterious universe that's been going automatically without us for centuries and centuries. All the cosmos, all the consciousness has been going and going. It came from absolutely nothing, right? And then there's now us here in this moment with consciousness, and it will end in absolutely nothing. So we are that small bleep in between nothings, which is why it's okay for us, first of all, not to know ourselves, not to know what it is that we want in life, not to be able to completely understand why we feel certain ways, why we do certain things, right? So I like to think about that sometimes. It's kind of interesting just to get lost in the whole grand scale of things, that we are just a fluke in an automatic universe. We are something that is not a robot in a world and in a universe of things that, just happen on their own without things going into things, which is why I think human beings kind of are at war with nature in so many ways. Because nature is just like strict, it just, trees just grow and then they die. We grow, we do all kinds of crazy ass shit, and we could die any moment because we're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's just like, it's very interesting. But it's okay to not know who we are right off the bat, right? So then we bring ourselves to the next question of like, but we want to know who we are at our essence. Even if we're just some fluke in the universe, we want to figure out who we are so that we can be making the right choices, so that we're going in the right direction, or we can at least feel like we're going in the right direction and we're using our time alive in a positive way, right? So the way that I think of this is our bodies, right? The only things that we know for sure is like, I have this body, I have these thoughts. The way that I see the world can change, though. The way that I perceive things can differ, But for the most part, my body is made up of the foods that I eat from the earth. So I pick up the food from the earth, I eat it, and it becomes me. So I'm borrowing little bits of this. And then my mind is the same way. I pick up things, I get perspective. I see, I gain information, and I take little bits of it. And that's what slowly morphs who I am and what I do and how I feel and what I'm going through and what I can be. So if I am just a built up, bundle of joy, a bundle of just experiences and food, I want to experience more things that are beneficial and more things that I enjoy. So in order for us to truly figure out who we are, we have to do this weird thing where we take a step back and we watch ourselves, like a snake. We watch ourselves like we don't know who we are, right? We see ourselves do things, go through the motions, but instead of just saying, oh, this is how we do all things, instead we start to ask ourselves, okay, but why do we do that in that certain way? Why do we prioritize certain things and we discourage other things? And then we can see ourselves from a different light, a different perspective. And the main thing that can really start to stick out, so we can really start to narrow in on what are our gifts, right? What are the things that we do that inside, not caring what anyone else in the world says or puts on our plate or encourages, but only for ourselves. When we do certain things, right, we feel a sense of reward for those things. And then when we do other things, we tend to not have that same emotional feeling. And we need to figure out how to differentiate those things, right? Because we could just say everything is random. Everything just happens. I feel certain ways. But the truth is when you begin to watch yourself, you'll begin to see that you are slightly different. You are built up of different experiences, different emotions than other people, okay? But you should be always aiming to live your genius life, your best life. Your true colors should be able to shine through if you are able to take that step back and watch yourself and notice when you do certain activities that you are feeling more alive in those moments. You are feeling more inspired, more more motivated, right? And then the things that you do in your daily life that aren't motivating, that are dragging, that are hard, you should learn how to eliminate, automate, and delegate those things as much as possible. And then your life can slowly shift more towards the things that truly matter to you, to who you are, and to what it is that you want to become, okay? So when we go into that direction, you really start to realize that who you are doesn't necessarily matter because who you are is a built up bunch of different experiences, emotions, and food from the past, right? But if you're able to live consciously and be fully aware of why you do things and how you move and the way that you think, you're going to see that you are part of everything, but you have your own special gifts, your own special talents, right? But it doesn't necessarily matter in this moment. What matters is who you're going to be in the future. Okay, that's what I kind of wanted to get us to. I wanted you to realize it's okay first not to know who you are. And then it's important for you to realize that you can be anyone you want. So much of Western culture thinks that as a human being, I am made like a piece of furniture or like a piece of clay. When in reality, we're all just more like actors in a really bad movie or a really good movie. I don't know. But we are just playing. That's what we're doing. We are acting in a certain way. We are putting on different hats and masks, and we are doing what society assumes of us to be instead of who we truly are. You know, we put on these different personas, like I'm a college student or I'm a dad. I'm a cook. You know, those are things you do. Those are not you though, right? So the most important thing that you can really figure out is who you want to be, right? So if the you right now is a buildup of experience and of different happenings, different actions, you have now the ingredients to put yourself in a position to experience the things that actually matter to you instead of the things that don't matter, because you have enough information, enough data on your life that you enjoy certain things and you dislike other things. So what you can start to work on is who you truly want to be, because it's all about who you are becoming. We're like water. We are always flowing, always moving, always becoming something different. We want to become our best self, our genius self. Our genius life is where we should be heading at all times. We should have our principles and our paradigms laid out so that we know we're going in the right direction. And it might not be the most beautiful walk, but if we just keep putting one foot in front of the other, we're eventually going to truly embody who we want to be. Okay, so who you were, who you are, don't matter. All that matters is who you are becoming. Who you are becoming should be something much greater than yourself, something that gets you out of bed every day, something that is going to put that spark in your life at every moment so that you can carry that spark and turn it into a flame and take it to all parts of your life, even the bad parts. But as long as you know who you're becoming and you have this image in your mind of who you are becoming, you will slowly but surely get there, if that makes sense. So if we're trying to truly understand ourselves, we have to understand that who we are becoming is the most important factor. Where you are right now and where you're going to be are totally different things. So the journey in between we have to enjoy. And we have to enjoy the fact that we are always becoming a better version of ourselves. This is where we can start to, put aside our childlike behaviors and take control of our lives, take complete responsibility, and start moving in the direction of becoming somebody who's healthy, becoming someone who's out of debt, becoming someone who is in a good relationship, becoming more than we are at this moment. Because if we truly know ourselves and we want to be something more in this life, most people are interested in financial abundance, fame and recognition. And most people just want to be more and be understood. So if we want to become those things, we can first figure out the principles, the simplest version of those things. And then we can realize that at any moment, we can be becoming better at that. We can be becoming more like that, right? And if we're still so confused as to ask ourselves, well, I don't know who I want to become, this is where I think the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich philosophy can kind of work. In his idea, you come up with this dining room table, right? Or your round table, like King Arthur style, with all the people in your life that you would like to get advice from at this moment. I don't know why I'm thinking of like James Bond, but like Dale Carnegie. How about Sean Connery's at your table? You know, Abraham Lincoln, Tupac, or whoever it is for you, like is at the table and they're giving you advice on who you could become. And it's just this way to imagine all the greatest role models in your life. All right. And then you can start to think, okay, well, all these people have certain things in common. You know, they're stand-up people. They have the right principles to do things that I believe in as well. You know, and once you can kind of visualize these ideas, then you can start to take on that role. Like I said, you can start to be that person and you can realize that you will be becoming such a big influence because you have this image in your mind. I know a lot of people suffer with confidence. So this is one of those situations where in your life, you can play and act like you have the confidence, right? And even if you're scared, you do things scared and you can make more of yourself by doing this. You'll reach new goals. You'll tap into new feelings and new ways of living that you never thought were possible because you started to visualize yourself and you started to say, I am becoming someone who has more courage, right? So then when an opportunity arises for you to have courage, you'll say, okay, I am now becoming someone with courage. And you can step in to that or step back and you'll be able to play from that further. And you can say, okay, well, the next one I'll have courage because I'm becoming more courageous. I'm becoming more of who I want to be every day and every time that I have these opportunities to rise up. I will do my best. And instead of beating yourself up for who you were or what happened in the past, you can start to only focus on becoming better because we have that choice at any moment to become better, to do better, to understand that we want to live this life now, right? And we want to break out of these old bad habits and start generating new habits that really makes who we are more. I think that is a good way to segue into just talking about how we are built up of many different habits. We're habitual creatures. Again, in the beginning, we were talking about how we're just a fluke. Most things are running on habits. They've figured out how to get food. It's like ants. They find a food and then they leave a trail and then everybody just walks in the same line. We do the same thing practically in a lot of ways, but it's just more subtle or it's subtler. Like the way we brush our teeth is almost exactly the same. The way we tie our shoes is the same because it's a habit. Our brain is always trying to work less. It's always trying to create that neural pathway of least resistance, right? We're always just trying to think in zeros and ones because, pleasure or stay away from pleasure. So for the most part, most of us always go to pleasure, right? We should be building up our willpower, but instead we always go to pleasure and we run away from unpleasantness. And whenever we're trying to figure out who we are and then we set these goals, we tend to fall back because we say we're going to do these things and then we don't because we know that's hard. That's unpleasurable. Instead, we go right to the pleasure. We go right for the cake instead of the salad. And if we have that awareness, though, of somebody inside of us is becoming something greater, we can say, no, I'm becoming someone who only eats salad and doesn't eat any cake. And then you have that line in the sand that you can really start to build your character, build your personality. I thought personality, I didn't know what it stood for, but it stands for personal reality. I thought that was interesting. So we're trying to have lots of personality, but we're trying to have lots of our own personal realities, right? So we live in this and people perceive us as this personality, but in fact, it's our own personal reality that comes out as our conversation, as our aneurysms, the way that we do things. These are from our multiple different realities that we've strung together that is us at this exact moment. But I think if we truly want to become our best version of ourselves and become as successful as humanly possible and know that we're going in the right direction, we have to figure out, our principles of becoming this best version of ourselves. And understand that nobody necessarily knows everything out there. Nobody knows everything about life and how to do it. But we can know for our own self and our own soul and our own life that these things, if we did them, would be a legit gift to our soul. It would be a worthwhile endeavor in our life instead of doing the shit that we don't like, which is what everybody seems to be doing. They complain about time, they complain about their job, but they never say that they're going to be becoming something else. They always just are complaining about what's happening. This is where people are either victims or they're people that are looking for opportunities. So I think that is the end of my rant, but it's just fun to think about, truly understanding ourselves. I know it took me 20 plus years to feel like I had a grip on who I was. And I really found it by first testing my abilities of mayhem. Like when I was younger, I tested the limits of, how fucked up I could make everything. And I just wreck my whole life from like 13 to 18 or whatever. It was like a dumpster fire. And then I joined the military. And going through these hardcore struggles, though, showed me mostly what it was made of. But every time that I would reach a certain point, like, I can't work anymore, I would realize that I can work more. I would realize that I can do more. If I was in a shitty situation where I felt like, I've got no more to give, I can always give a little more, though. And I found situations where, I'm closed off. But I could love a little more in this situation, and we put up all these walls and these false imaginations and these non-existent fences, and we berate ourselves inside of them. And that's not really who we are, but we've made up these rules. We've made up these invisible fences that we live by. And in order for us to become our best self, we have to look at it with an open mind. We can't say that things are black and white anymore. We have to say, okay, things are moving in this direction more than that direction. There's a lot of gray, but we're always going to be going more towards our best self, more towards our greatest life, and more towards the things that we truly love and would be, if we accomplish them, would be a true gift to our soul that would make us the happiest. I hope that was helpful. I hope you found this insightful. If you got anything out of this, please share this all over social media. Share it with your family and friends. If you want to buy any art, go to thewoodcarvers.com. You want to buy either my podcast or my YouTube course, which is still only $1, but I will be raising the price to $97 here pretty quick. Go to evergreencreators.com. If you want my free book, I'll send a link. And I think that's it. So I really appreciate you tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one. Namaste.